Okay, so I apologize for that stop, but it cuts us off at a certain amount of time. So paragraphs 8 through 10 do not give any background information about Paige, so we can automatically mark that out. They illustrate or they show Paige's internal conflict, so the problem that she has within herself. Maybe. Not really sure at this point, we don't necessarily know what it's talking about, but it seems like it's a possible answer. They explain why Paige admires her grandpa. No, doesn't say anything about why Paige admires her grandpa. They show how Paige and her brothers are alike. Not at all. So here we are left with this one. Now, when we break down this answer choice, they show her internal conflict. When she goes in, she gives her grandparents a hug. So she loves her grandparents, but what does she not like doing? She does not like going fishing. So that makes B the correct answer choice. Okay. Now we are on to question number 3, back to our metaphor. We read this sentence. Across from the kitchenette stood the bathroom, which contributed to the monster's bad case of morning breath. And when we are going through this story, monster refers to the RV. She refers to the camper RV as a monster. And she stood across from the kitchenette, which is just a little kitchen, okay? And the bathroom, and that added to, helped to the bad case of morning breath. So what are we looking for as the metaphor? The metaphor is the the kitchenette and the morning breath, or the RV and the morning breath. All right. Yes, RV, not the kitchenette. What is the metaphor? So a comparison not using like or as. The RV had a rotten smell. Yes, maybe. People slept poorly inside the RV. Well, if it's that stinky, maybe they did, but we don't know anything about why. It doesn't say anything about people sleeping poorly or otherwise, so we're going to mark that one out. The RV was cramped. We can again infer that because it's an RV, it is very likely cramped, but it doesn't say that, so we can mark that out. People made a mess inside of the RV. While we do know that people made a mess inside of the RV, we're looking specifically at the metaphor, and we're saying that the RV had terrible smell because it was a monster, and morning breath is quite stinky. So we are left with these two. This one would be a distractor. It's an inference and not the meaning of the metaphor. So the RV had a rotten or terrible smell. And in the passage, when we talked about it before, showed that there was rotten fruit and old plates and different things. So we know that that also would contribute or add to the stinky smell. All right. Question number 4. Which detail signals a change in the direction of the story? So we're looking for a minor event that happened that causes the story to change. Grandpa loans Paige a fishing pole. He does loan her a fishing pole, so maybe. Paige warns her family about the heat. Not really. She does say it's hot out, but she doesn't say that it was dangerous. So we're going to go ahead and mark that one out. Grandma and Grandpa arrive in their RV. Maybe. Paige and the girls beat the boys in the water fight. While that is true, it doesn't have any bearing on the story itself. It was just a detail at the beginning, so we're going to go ahead and mark that. So now we've gotten it down to the actual answer and to one that would be the trick answer or distractor answer. So Grandpa loans Paige a fishing pole. This does happen in the story, so it is a detail, but does it change the direction of the story? Not really, not the same way that question C does. Grandma and Grandpa arrive in their RV. So at that point is when everything picks up. We're down here in this conflict area, and Paige then has to try to hide because she doesn't want to go fishing. So we can go ahead and mark this one out. That one's kind of a tricky question. That was the distractor, and choose the answer C. Because while this happened and it does impact the story slightly, it doesn't change the actual direction of the story the same way the grandparents coming in the RV does. All right, so 5 we have marked out. We're not doing that one. 6, which detail would be the most important to include in a summary? Now, again, remember, summary is a brief retelling of what happened, and it does not include an opinion. So, Paige loses a lot of fishing poles. She does, so we'll leave that alone for now. Grandpa owns many different hats. He does, and it does say that. However, that's not really an important detail. It just is a detail. So we're going to go ahead and mark that one out. Paige enjoys water skiing and tubing. She does, but is it important to include? Maybe. And Grandpa wants to take the kids fishing. Yes, I would say we absolutely want to leave that in there. Okay. So when we're left with these 3 answers, we have to start narrowing it down. Is it important to include that she uses a lot of fishing poles? Not so much, because we're not looking at this giving us a lot of information based on what we know, that it means that she doesn't like fishing. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. Paige enjoys water skiing and tubing. While she does, it doesn't address her grandparents. And so it just is something that she says. So again, we're going to mark that one out. And he wants to take them fishing. That is, again, one of the things that really sparks a change in the story. It sparks interest in the story. He wants to take them fishing. She doesn't want to go. That's the conflict of the story. And so including that piece of conflict in the story is very important as a summary, because that tells us what the story is about. So question 6, the answer is D. All right, last question. Which sentence best expresses the theme? And again, we have our note here to ourselves. Theme is the message. All right, so people usually change as they grow older. No. Doesn't have anything to do with that. While she may be telling the story from some point in the future, we don't know that, so we can't assume. Sometimes people are embarrassed by family. Maybe we'll leave that one. People often cherish their childhood memories. This falls under the same reasoning for marking this out as A. We don't know that this is being told from the future. For all we know, it's being told from the day after this occurs, so it wouldn't be a childhood memory. And then D, sometimes people make choices to please others. Now, when we think on these 2 answers, we have a correct answer and a distractor answer. People are embarrassed by their family. Now, I think we all agree that sometimes we're embarrassed by our family, but is there anything in this story to indicate that Paige is embarrassed by her grandparents? And the answer to that is no, because she went in to hug them when she saw them. She didn't seem to have anything against her grandparents per se. It was just that she did not want to go fishing. So we're going to mark out answer choice B, which leaves us with D. People make choices to please others. Paige went fishing with her grandpa to please both her grandpa and her little brothers. So that is passage number 1 that we've gone over. This is a fiction passage, very similar to the types of questions you will see on the EOG coming up. I'm going to do another nonfiction passage, and we'll post that so you have it after we go over that, as well as I'm going to try to do one more fiction passage to get us ready. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.